Hi, my name is Jonathan, and I know this is a little late as a response to the Tavon Martin murder a few months ago, but I wanted to ask, who is more likely to be shot? A white guy randomly walking through a black neighborhood in the inner city, or a black guy randomly walking through a ritzy, gated community that's all white? Now, I know that the black neighborhoods in the inner cities of the United States, in the urban areas, the inner cities and urban areas of the United States, are very dangerous. Like south side of Chicago, south central Los Angeles, anywhere in Detroit. They are very dangerous, and that they are not safe whatsoever. Now myself, a few years ago, I had lived for a week in south side Chicago. I stayed at the Olive Branch Mission, and I was really scared at first, really scared about walking the streets in Southside Chicago, and initially I was terrified as a white guy. My first night there at Olive Branch Mission in Southside Chicago, someone was shot right outside my window. I heard these gunshots in the middle of the night, and my first night there, someone was shot to death. So, but my overall experience, Southside Chicago, was everyone was really friendly, and the food was terrific. It was fantastic. Food was fantastic. Southside Chicago. So overall, it was a good experience, and in the end, I felt safe in Southside Chicago. But let's imagine. Okay, use your imagination here. Imagine that you decide to walk, like a little vacation or something. Imagine you decide to walk right down the streets of Southside Chicago, or South Central Los Angeles, or inner city Detroit. Imagine yourself walking in a black neighborhood, the inner city, and you're the only white person there. You see hypodermic needles scattered on the sidewalk, and you see prostitutes on the corner. You are wearing an Abercrombie & Fitch shirt, maybe you have a purse or something, and you're feeling out of place. Okay, imagine yourself walking in such a neighborhood. Now imagine the fear that you are feeling. Okay? You feel that? You feel that fear? Now multiply that fear you have times 4. Magnify that fear you're feeling as a white person times 4. And that is what a black person feels like if they imagine themselves walking through a very rich, gated community that's all white. Okay? A black guy would be terrified to walk through a gated community in the very wealthy parts of the United States. A black guy would shit in his pants. He'd be so scared. Like, I guarantee that a black guy would be more likely to be shot to death in such a scenario than the white guy. And this is amazing when not factoring in race, saying that if both the gated community and the inner city were both white. Let's say race is not a factor and both areas are white. You would assume that the inner city would be more dangerous, because inner cities just infiltrated with very violent, territory-sensitive gangs, drugs all over the place, desperate people. Inner city would be more dangerous, and that would make sense. But because race is a factor, it is more dangerous for the black guy to walk through a gated community in the United States that's all white, very rich and very white, than for the white guy to walk through a black neighborhood inner city. Much more dangerous than a black guy. In other words, a black guy would get shot to death in a gated community in the United States simply because he's black. Whereas if a white guy got shot in South Side or South Central, he would be shot to death simply because of his money. He would not be shot because of the color of his skin. Big difference. And the black guy in this scenario would be much more afraid than the white guy, if you can measure fear. I mean, let's compare the consciousness of blacks and whites in America. Like, consider the consciousness of a black American. Part of their consciousness as a black living in America is a history of slavery, of lynching by whites, of unfair portrayal of blacks in the media, an unjust bias against blacks in the judicial system, police brutality against blacks. This is all part of blacks' consciousness. Okay? So if you're black, living in the inner city, even if you were high, let's say you're black living in the inner city, you're really incredibly high, you see a white guy who's obviously has lots of money, okay, and you're desperate for his cash. Even in that case, you're black, you would think more than twice about shooting that white guy, because there would be consequences. Like, it is much more dangerous for an alien black guy, a black guy who's not from the inner city, much more dangerous for that black guy to go into the inner city than it would be for a white guy. Okay, and more likely the black guy would be shot than the white guy. Both the white and the black being alien to that community. Okay, now if you're white, living in a gated community, let's observe the consciousness of the white person. Part of your consciousness as a white person, especially who's very wealthy, living in a gated community, because all the gated communities in the United States are all white. Really, they're very homogenous to race. Your consciousness as a white person is the ability to afford a lawyer that will back you up if you decide to follow through with shooting that black guy you see just randomly walking through the gated community. Lots of money to afford a nice lawyer so you can get out of prosecution. And part of your consciousness as that white person is living in a society that says you're the victim as a result of this inflated perception of political correctness. Okay, so if you're white, let's say you're white and you do get held up by a black guy. This black guy is pointing a gun at you. He wants your money. Maybe he comes up to you and say, "Hey man, you got a light?" "Sure, I got a light." He takes out a knife. "Give me your wallet." "Give him your wallet, he's got a knife." Instead of saying, "That's not a knife, this is a knife," say, "That's not a racist, this is a racist." Like that. That's what you're going to do if you're white, because you're held up by a black guy. You're not going to consider his social class. You're not going to take into consideration the environment he grew up in. You're not going to take into consideration his income level. You're a white person. You're going to look at his skin color. You're going to ignore everything else. You're going to focus on the fact that he's black. And you will identify that with every other black person. If you're held up at gunpoint by a black person, you're looking at his skin color. So, some of you may be looking at this vlog, and you're looking at my skin color and asking, well, who are you? Where do you get off by saying all this? So who are you to say all this stuff? I mean, look at you, you're white. But if you're thinking that, no matter what your skin color is, that proves your racism. So that's all I'm going to say. Who's more likely to get shot? Black guy, walking through rich, very rich, gated community, or the white guy? The black guy is more likely to be shot. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.